Are you a disciplined person? I'm not. Today, 5 motivation hacks for the unmotivated and undisciplined on Talk to Me Baby. So, a quick Google search of productivity yields 912 million results. Obviously, we think that productivity is important. I'm sure you've seen many YouTube videos on productivity about how to hack your schedule and how to get motivated and how to reset your life and how to do all these things. There are entire channels dedicated to productivity. There are many books at the library dedicated to productivity. I, in fact, have a bookshelf full of books about productivity. These are 5 things that I am trying to implement in my own life as someone who does not consider herself to be fully disciplined. Let me explain. I'm disciplined in some ways in my life, but I'm not one of those people who wakes up really early and tackles the to-do list and just knocks things out and gets things done. I always kind of feel like I'm behind. I feel like even though I write my to-do list out, I still feel this sense of overwhelm about it. I procrastinate, I put things off. I don't feel like doing things, so I don't do them. I fight that inertia monster quite a bit. And these are 5 things that I am implementing in an attempt to change that. Right. And the main thing is that I just don't feel like I'm consistent. And discipline is something I'm really interested in, not because I'm trying to be one of these hustle culture people who's like, yeah, I'm going to rule the world and I'm going to do all of this. And not because I actually think that it is the role of humans to be productive. I think that that's a construct that has come out since the Industrial Revolution. I'm sure you could see the correlation here that we need to be productive, that we need to be machines, that if we're resting, somehow we're doing something wrong, that we're not allowed to relax, that you have to be constantly accomplishing things, and simply being is weird. A lot of people feel like relaxing is not something that they're fully able to do. And even when they are quote unquote relaxing, they're still thinking about work. That was me for a long time. And now I'm in a place where I can fully relax and I can detach and I don't feel any guilt about it, but I have a little trouble getting things going sometimes. Okay. I've just never really been a massive fan of goal planning. I know a lot of people really like goal planning. For me, there are things that I want to accomplish, but when I have goals, let's say, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to whatever, I list out the goals. The next thing usually people will say is, okay, now break that goal down into achievable baby steps, right? What are you going to do to achieve that goal? What are the little bite-sized chunks that you're going to do to eventually get to that goal? And that's the part where things get sticky for me. And maybe you relate to this. When you make a list of all the things that have to happen in order for you to accomplish that goal, it can be really daunting. It just feels like, oh, okay, so now I want this thing, but this is going to take all of this. And it's not that I'm not a hard worker. It's just overwhelming to look at it all on a list like that. So that exercise doesn't actually help me at all. It stresses me out more. It makes me want to find shortcuts. It makes me want to skip steps. It makes me want to just jump to the end. And it doesn't allow me to actually get anywhere in terms of the goal itself because I'm just so daunted by the fact that there's all these steps. Even when I write a to-do list, sometimes it's helpful because, okay, now it's all on paper and I know what I need to do. But then I still don't feel a sense of relief until it's all done. It's like, it's got to get done. So this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you, oh, but these 5 things have completely revolutionized my life. And now I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I journal for 2 hours and then I meditate and then I eat a full breakfast and I work out and then I go to the animal shelter where I volunteer and I rehab baby squirrels. I don't do any of that. And I don't plan on doing any of that. I just want to be able to trust myself. And that is why discipline is important to me and why it should matter to you as well, because discipline means that you are trustworthy. Discipline means that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And that creates a feeling of safety. And that feeling of safety is really important when you are trying to listen to your inner voice, when you're trying to do the things that you want to do in your life. Because if you don't trust yourself and you don't trust the nudges that you're receiving and the insights that you're receiving and the impulses that you're receiving, And if you worse don't take action on them, then you just create this habitual pattern of not being able to stay consistent and not trusting yourself to actually do the things that you want, even though they're coming from a very pure place of your true heart's desire. So let's talk about the 5 things. The first one is changing from I have to I deserve to. Let me give you an example. I deserve to have nice, clean, folded laundry put away in the drawers instead of playing this game where I move the pile of clean clothes from the bed to the dresser and from the bed to the dresser for a week. I deserve to have a healthy body. Therefore, I should exercise, right? It's not about I have to exercise. No, I deserve to exercise. I deserve to make myself a nourishing meal. I deserve to get ahead of my work so that tomorrow I'm not stressed out. I deserve to not be stressed out. So that's the first tip. Moving from I have to I get to didn't work for me. Maybe you've tried that tip, but I deserve to gives it a different twist because now it's about self-empowerment and now it is about self-love. It's not like I get to, you ungrateful little shit, because you're not doing the thing. The I get to sometimes can kind of have this connotation of you should be grateful for what you have. And you should be grateful for what you have, 100%. But that doesn't always work, actually, as a motivator. So I deserve to works a lot better. Next one. This was a biggie for me. Motivation is like a train that will never arrive. That means that if you are standing on the platform and there are things that you want to do and you are waiting for that train of motivation to just come on into the station so you can get aboard and be taken off to your destination, it's not going to happen. So motivation is like that first hit of inspiration. So when you first get an idea, maybe you've been sitting on the sofa and then suddenly something comes over you and you decide, I'm going to go do this thing. And then you actually go and you do it. You thought that that was motivation. It wasn't. It was inspiration. But once that inspiration wears off, that's where we run into trouble. We get really excited and we're like, I'm going to go. And I bought all these new workout clothes and now I'm dedicated to this new workout routine. And then you do it for like 3 days and then you're like, womp, 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 and you stop. The reason is because you have lost motivation, right? And you were riding the high of inspiration, thinking that it was going to carry you through, and that's just not going to happen. So motivation builds on momentum. In ancient Rome, there was a temple to the goddess Vesta. Vesta was the protector of Rome. She was the goddess of hearth, the goddess of fire. She's the goddess of the home. And the Vestal virgins were tasked with keeping that flame going all of the time. The flame was not allowed to go out in the temple of Vesta unless it was March 1st, because that was a special day where they were going to basically kind of renew the flame, and there was a ritual associated to that. Otherwise, these Vestal virgins would dedicate their lives. I think they were even selected before birth. You know, they were part of noble families, and they were dedicated. They dedicated themselves to tending this flame, right? Around the clock. This thing had to be lit. It could not go out. If it went out, there were dire consequences for the Vestal virgin that accidentally let it go out. And so keeping a flame alive is not an easy thing. We think, oh yeah, you know, the passion and the ignition. The ignition part is simple, right? You light it and it's lit, but keeping it going is what actually takes effort. And effort is created through momentum. That means that you are not going to feel like it when you start, but once you start, you will meet motivation on the path. You're not going to feel motivated in the beginning. So if you're waiting to start because you're waiting for the motivation to strike for you to be able to start, this is not going to happen. And that's why it's a train that's never going to arrive. You're just going to be sitting there waiting like, where's the train? Where's the train? Where's the train? Once you start walking towards whatever it is that you want to do, you will find motivation. And the way that you can build this out for yourself is to just talk yourself into it. What do I mean? You can just say what you feel. I don't feel like doing this. I know that this is good for me and I know that I want to do it, but right now in this moment, I don't feel like doing it. But I'm open to feeling like doing it. I could feel like doing it. I might feel like doing it. I might not feel like doing it right now, but I might feel like doing it once I start. And I could just start a little bit. If I start a little bit, then I might like it. And if I like it, then I might continue doing it. And I can stop at any time. I can just start and I can just see what happens. That's a little thought process that you can use for your head. I don't feel like doing it, but I might feel like doing it. And just carry that on. And another thing you can do with motivation is just literally move. Like force your body to move. Force your force your body to do the thing you don't want it to do. That's why Mel Robbins 5 4 3 2 1 rule is so effective, because it shuts off the conversation in your brain of I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to. Number 3 is your enemy. If you want something that is going to stop that mental loop where you're sitting on the sofa and you're thinking, I should do this thing, but I'm not going to do this thing, but maybe I'll do it later. If you want something that will get you out of it, of the 5 tips I'm giving you today, nothing will work as well as this one. Think of your enemy. Let's define enemy. I don't mean your arch nemesis in life. Hopefully you don't have an arch nemesis, but chances are you have had somebody in your life who has underestimated you, belittled you, made you feel less than, somebody who was perhaps passive aggressive, secretly competitive with you, underhanded, even shady. Think of that person right now. And then think about in the future, when you have accomplished what you want to accomplish, when all is said and done, feel the satisfaction in knowing how much that is going to annoy this person, how bothered this person is going to feel by your success. Because if you don't start now, you're not going to get to this very satisfying picture. And that will get you moving. That will get you going. If you are feeling unmotivated, undisciplined, think about that. Okay. Now, a word of caution with this, you don't want to sit in that emotion of revenge or of stewing. You know, I think sometimes we try to shy away from the darker emotions, if you will, but they're super useful. They're super useful because who doesn't like a comeuppance story? Who doesn't like an underdog rising to the top story? We root for the villain to be taken down when we watch movies. We love it when the mean girl gets what's coming to her. And you can use this in your own life to help fuel you, but use it as a launching pad. Don't dwell in the past. Don't sit there and, use it to stew in those mucky emotions. Just use it to get you going, and it will 100%. Number 4, your idol. Who do you admire? When they were starting out, before they were known, before anybody knew who they were, before they had accomplished anything, think about those days when they were moving in complete silence, when nobody knew, and use that to help motivate you. I have a Pinterest board with women that I admire and with women that I aspire to be like. Women like Lucille Ball, Diane von Furstenberg, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. There are many writers on there. There are even fictional characters. I love Lorelai Gilmore, and I love Midge from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Who else is on there? Elle Woods is on there. What? Like, it's hard? Who is your idol? Think about when they were starting off, what they did, and use that to help get you going. I don't know why. I always think about this story that I heard. It must have been way back, like in the MTV days, of Destiny's Child, and how Beyonce's father would make them go running. And when he made them go running, they had to sing. And that was to build their stamina, that was to build their lung capacity. And if you've ever actually tried to run and sing at the same time, it is super hard. It's not easy at all. I don't know why that story always pops into my head, but when I don't feel like doing something, I think about this group of women running, and how they were doing this back in the days before it was 11:30 and the club was jumping. Okay, way, 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 way before anybody had ever even heard that song. These girls were out running and singing. They were moving in silence before anyone was witness to their success. And you right now in this moment of your life, with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's a big goal, a small goal, it doesn't matter. You are in that same phase. So that's your tip number 4. Number 5, get into character. We've heard you should be the main character of your life and you should carry yourself as if you are in a movie. And what do movies have? They have a few things. So if we are building a character, we are going to borrow things from Hollywood and things that actors do to build characters. The first one is very simple: soundtrack. What soundtrack is playing in this character's life? When I wake up in the morning, I like to listen to the Pride and Prejudice soundtrack because I like to pretend that I'm Elizabeth Bennet and I am walking through the countryside and I'm dancing with Darcy. Or sometimes I listen to old Hollywood playlists as well. Those are wonderful for motivation because a lot of times those were musicals and they have great songs in there to just get you going. And isn't there something magical about old Hollywood films where they're just walking in the street and then everyone breaks out into dance and into song and it's this big choreographed over the top showpiece? I mean, don't you wish that that's what happened when you went to Starbucks? So think about a soundtrack that embodies that life that you want to live and listen to it often. The next thing that you can do to get into character is use scent. So actors will sometimes pick out a fragrance that matches that character, and that's what they associate to the character. Scents are amazing. So you can go citrus. Citrus will create an energizing feeling, or maybe it's something a little bit more dark and mysterious. Maybe it's something ambery. Maybe it's spicy. Maybe it's something with patchouli. Think about who you are trying to become. Who is that ideal higher self version of you that you are stepping into? What is the fragrance that you associate with that? Also an excuse to buy a new fragrance. Hello. The last thing is get dressed. What does this character wear? You are creating this character. This is your higher self, this version of you that you want to be able to step into, this version of you that is motivated, that is disciplined, that is doing all the things that they need to be doing. So, what are they wearing? What is their attire? How do they carry themselves? Me personally, I feel a lot better when I take the time to make myself look presentable, when I put on makeup, when I put on a nice outfit. And I'm a sneaker girly, okay? Today I went out and I ran errands. I'm wearing a button-down shirt. I'm wearing jeans. I wore my sneakers. But I did take the time to get dressed. I'm not wearing leggings. And I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I personally don't really jive with this whole culture of comfort that we have going on. I don't mind athleisure when it looks a little bit more elevated, but I think there's a time and a place for the leggings. Okay. And I think that when you take the time to get dressed and to properly present yourself to the world responds in kind. People will show you more respect when it seems like you respect yourself, and you respect yourself because you have taken the time and the energy to adorn yourself because you are worth it. That's what that signals, right? I am worth my own time and energy. So when you're crafting this character, think about the kind of outfits that they're wearing. If one of your goals is to tap more into your creativity, maybe go after a career in the creative arts, look at people that are already doing that. Look at that inspiration. If you want to be taken seriously as a business owner, think about blazers. I mean, these are very typical standard things that might seem old fashioned to some people, but there's a reason why we associate certain personas with certain clothing. And our clothing really says a lot about us. So I would urge you to use it as a motivator for yourself. And when you don't feel like it, when you put on a cute outfit, you will feel better. When I don't feel like I'm looking that cute and I feel blah, I put on red lipstick or a bold lipstick color because it instantly makes it look like I've tried harder than I have, because really I'm just putting on lipstick. It's not that big of a deal. And it makes me carry myself a little bit different. So these were the 5 tips to recap. Number 1, change I have to I deserve to. Number 2, motivation is a train that never comes. Don't try to wait until motivation strikes to get going. Just get going. Number 3, think about your enemy and how sweet your victory is going to be. And number 4, think about your idol. Who is it that you admire? Think about them in the early stages and think about them being with you. They're here with you to help you tap into that emotion of actually doing what you say you're going to do and being that disciplined, beautiful person. And number 5, get into character. Whatever that means for you, use playlists, use scent, use your attire to get into character. I will report back on how these things are working out for me. A lot of times for me, unless things are fun, I don't really feel like doing them. So I have to try to make them fun. So if I'm going to do things that I don't feel like doing, I have to add a little splash of fun. And these are the 5 things that I've been trying out to help me be more motivated, more disciplined, and establish that trust in myself. I think it's worth it. And I think we should all strive for that. So if you're struggling with that, I feel you. I'm right there with you. This has been your episode of Talk to Me, Baby. I am Emily Ladmas. I am a copywriter, cat mom, dancing enthusiast, antique jewelry collector, business owner, and I'll see you later.